businesses, I'm talking billion-dollar companies, truly serve a higher social purpose for the good of mankind? Well, the business world has been thrown into a debate over investments that prioritize ESG. That's environmental, social, and governance factors. Larry Fink, the billionaire chief of Blackrock, which manages upwards of $9 trillion in assets, pioneered the idea of ESG before it became an investment buzzword. But the investment company has since been caught in a tug of war, with Republicans calling the firm's ESG push woke capitalism. On the other hand, progressives accusing it of greenwashing or championing practices that aren't as environmentally sound as they appear to be. Now, 5 years after championing the cause, Fink now says he's, quote, ashamed of being part of all the ESG talk, not because it isn't worthwhile, but because it's become too politicized. Well, for more, I'm joined by I-24 News science and tech correspondent Ariel Levin Waldman. Ariel, just break down for us, what is ESG and why are we hearing so much about it lately?
Well, we're hearing about it because Larry Fink, the creator of it, just found himself saying that he was embarrassed by it. He doesn't want it to be politicized. What the challenge is how do you make ESG something that's not political when its very definition, an environmental, social, and governance score, seems to be just a ranking of how progressive a company is and whether or not it follows progressive ideology. Now, how it is in practice is quite simple. Companies looking to get investment capital for their startups or for any of their massive projects turn towards one of these major capital investment firms, and only if they have a high enough score can they get that money at all. And many critics say that this is a problem because it locks access to capital funds behind ideological compliance.
And Ariel, tell me, why has ESG's creator Larry Fink trying to distance himself from the concept?
Well, it's all about the controversy that the ESG rating has caused over the past few years. Previously unknown has become almost a buzzword largely across the American right because of, well, a few reasons, not least of which being the pure rank hypocrisy of it. Let's take a quick look at some of the ESG rankings of some major companies. Tesla, they make electric cars. They should theoretically have a very high environmental social score, but they got a 37, whereas Marlboro, the cigarette company, has an 84, and British American Tobacco has a 94. That's an almost perfect score, all things considered. If you're saying that this score is supposed to represent the company's ethics, why is a company whose product kills 8 million people every single year worldwide rank considerably higher than somebody making sustainable cars? But it's not just the rank hypocrisy that's bothering a lot of people. On the American right, their concern is, of course, the ideological hegemony of it. If you're locking the entire environment, the entire ecosystem of the economy behind a small number of people with a very specific ideological progressive agenda, it means that people's individual liberty when they're making their own companies is highly restricted. They either toe the political line or their company is going to die. But there's also the last one, and this is the one that gets criticism from both the progressives as well as the Republicans. It's just the very concept of ESG scores is entirely open to abuse in a system that's thoroughly gamed. And you see that example right here with the raw numbers. Now, we talked before about just how much assets under management they have, because when you say you either play ball or appear to play ball, or when you're talking about $22 trillion combined under management, that's basically the entirety of the US economy. But the biggest issue with that is a company can simply say publicly that they're making a few of these basic things, a board full of women putting up a rainbow flag on their Twitter profile once a year, and suddenly have a high ranking despite not very socially conscious decisions the company makes.
So Ariel, is this the end of ESG as we know?
Absolutely not, because ESG isn't the beginning of ESG. It used to be CSR, corporate social responsibility, which was a cynical ploy developed by corporate lawyers to say, if we inevitably get sued for very bad business practices, will look better in the courts if we have a public-facing progressive profile. After that, instead of being called CSR, it was called stakeholder capitalism. But now there is massive pushback, and we're seeing several US states divesting completely from it in the wake of various political pressures. Largely by conservatives said it's not fair that these companies are controlling the economy, holding it by the purse strings and forcing it into a specific ideological view rather than an actual market that sustains on its own merits. That pushback's not going to go away even if they change the name again.
Ariel Levin Waldman, thank you very much for that breakdown.